That's right. Makes me want a beach. And, of course, if you really want to get something make you want a beach, then you need to get this book right here by Mr. Tony Head. How you doing, brother?
I am doing fine, my friend. How are you?
Man, I'll tell you, what time is it out in California?
Oh, it's early, son. I've got to tell you, it's very. But I'm okay. I got my last flight out mug full of Beach Buddha coconut, and I'm good.
There you go. Yeah, Coconut Bay there. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you a Tiki Man Radio mug. That way you've got one of these nice mugs, so you're
a good man.
You'll always think of
me. I don't care what they say about you. No, Danny, you're a good man.
Well, they say a lot of stuff, okay, but don't believe everything you hear, okay? But man, I got to tell you, I was so excited all week long. Ever since we originally made contact about your book, I was, I got to thinking about all the, it's a unique thing to be able to kind of put traveling stories so people can understand and they can fall into the stories and then, they want to go visit all these places, and, it's like, people send me pictures all the time from, the Rod and Reel Pier down Emery Island or all this stuff, and so tell us a little bit about the adventures, and of course it's Driftwood is the name of the book, and stories from the Margarita Road. So how did all this come about, man?
Well, I ran away from home. That's how it came about. It's I had the dream, and you and I have talked about this. That I think it's a dream everybody has. When going gets tough, you want to go someplace with sand and blue water. I'm going to get the quote wrong, but a writer friend of mine named Danny Lynn you said in one of your stories, the beach is sacred ground or something like that, and it is. It really is. That's the thing that everybody connects with. The mortgage is due or the divorce papers come. You want to go tropical, and it just connecting with that. My wife and I had a middle-age fit of madness, and just moved down to Mexico for the adventure of it. And I discovered all of these people doing the same thing. Yeah. And I thought their stories ought to be told. So that's how the book came around, man.
Man, that is so cool. I mean, it is, I call it Mother Ocean. I write a lot about Mother Ocean and how it pulls you in one wave at a time. And, for people that don't like the beach or doesn't like the ocean or what, I can't relate to those people. But no. I keep trying to persuade them to try, because there's a lot of things out there people say, well, I don't like that. Well, have you ever tried it? Like, well, no. Well, how the hell you don't know if you like it or right? So.
Exactly. and I got to say, from my experience has been, even those people who have never been down to the seashore, they still have that dream,
Sure.
that maybe that place is someplace I can run to. And so, we feed that dream for people as storytellers. Yeah. We offer that to people. Well, songwriters do it too.
Exactly. And the backstory behind all of it really is, follow your dreams. Don't box yourself in and don't, it's this whole settling thing that people, and we were talking a little bit earlier in the show about, I think people have forgotten how far they've come, right? When you start trying to challenge yourself for a new adventure, and people just cannot get out of that comfort box. They're afraid to do this, or they're afraid they think this is all they can do, or this is that, and all that stuff. But once you set your mind, they always told us growing up, you can do anything if you set your mind to it, and it's so true.
Absolutely, and that's what happened to my wife's named Sherry, and Sherry and I just thought, why not have a great grand adventure and just take off and see where it leads us. And since we've done that, I've been preaching like my great grandfather, who was a minister. Get down, take off, follow your dreams, and you'll get there somehow. And along the way, you meet amazing people. That's what it's really about. Yeah, it's not the vista or the scene you see. It's the people you meet on the road, man.
Well, tell us a little bit about the book, because like I told you, I was at the Sexiest Man in Mexico, and I haven't got past the I think it's chapter 8, something like that. And so tell me, these characters are real people, right? Or fiction? Tell us a little bit about it.
now you're going to get me sued.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
There's a great writer, Craig Johnson. He does the Longmire mystery books and the Longmire TV show, and Craig's just does great stuff. And he has a saying that the biggest lie in the book publishing business is that little blurb inside the cover where it says none of these people are real people. And
that's so true.
So when I write a character, every story in the book is based on a true experience. It happened to me or to someone.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I change things up a little bit. That's the fun of being a writer, is I can turn it into what I need it to say. But like the Buffett song says, everything is in there is a semi-true story.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. And so your wife Sherry, y'all went down to Mexico, and you just like, you know what, we're going to do this, right?
We did. It was a little bit of empty nest syndrome. We're a little on the older side. Our boy was up and gone, and we thought, why not have some fun? And we had been traveling quite a bit, and we settled into a little bay in Mexico, Playa del Carmen. Now it's big and popular and a tourist attraction, but back then it was cobblestone streets and little dirt roads and a sweet little town. And we found a funky little bar. A funky little hotel. And we thought, okay, we can make this work. A little bed and breakfast. Yeah. And of course, once we got in there, to Sherry's chagrin, I said, this place needs a margarita bar. That's the first thing we have to do.
I say that about tiki bars. You know what this place really needs is a tiki bar.
That's right. We were about 2 blocks off the Caribbean, so we built ourselves a little bar and opened for business, and we just lived the flip-flop lifestyle for a long time. And people started gathering in. We'd get drifters and locals and tourists, and as I say, everybody had a story. You know that.
Yeah. And it's so true. You can create a bar, or if you can find a little. All those years that I traveled in the corporate world, I'd always kind of venture off to where the locals were. And mainly because I wanted to get the hell away from all the people I've been having meetings with all week. So they would go to the tourist traps. I would go find me a local bar somewhere. And traveling for 25 years, I had a friend everywhere. I just didn't have any strangers I met along the way, and people would just come up to you and tell you the damnedest stories, and
absolutely.
You forget, because I say it quite often, sometimes it's a lot of bad news or whatever, I'm like, after listening to you, I don't have any problems, but all bars, especially those kind of bars that you're talking about, that you and Sherry were in, or you had, do you still have the bar?
Nope, not any longer.
Okay, so
but big old honking heart attack a couple of years ago put me on the retirement list.
I hear you.
And but so you're right though. Is in the book I use the phrase, and this is true. Everybody comes through with a story. Mm-hmm. It's not always necessarily a fun story or a happy story. I always said that the book is about the good, the bad, and the strange that I saw. Yeah. And there's a little of all three when you're traveling in the tropics. Yeah. And then of course, as soon as we had the bar, I threw a wooden pallet down on the floor, and that was the stage. And then everybody with a guitar coming through town took a turn on the stage, and that's when I began to get an understanding of that music was storytelling, just like I wanted to do storytelling. And that's when I began to bond with some of these guys putting themselves out there as songwriters, which is just a great connection.
It really is. And what I was going to say was those bars always have the locals, right? You got those characters in the bar that they discover it one day and they never go anywhere else. This is their bar, and but you have the people that travel through that make it interesting, from time to time, but you always have that handful of kind of like Cheers, the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name kind of thing. Years ago when I built the Tiki Bar, that was kind of the original first saying was that there are no strangers here, just friends you haven't met before. And
exactly.
And then after everybody discovered it was what could possibly go wrong.
Yeah, I mean if they start to trickle in, at first it's the locals, and then they hang out for a while. Mm-hmm. And of course, I had this incredible bartender, Jorge Castillo. Jorge, if you're out there watching, I still love you, brother.
Oh, hey!
And yeah, and so people the word would start to spread, but then it became competition. Now we had swings, not stools. That was one of the things when I built the bar. I said I wanted three things. I wanted a palapa roof. I wanted a thatched roof. I wanted swings instead of stools, and I wanted a great margarita. And I got all three. But so the competition got heavy. Who was getting those swings around the bar after a while?
Yeah. I mean, I've been at some bars. I don't know if I can stay on the swing very long or whatever, but yeah.
And of course, we had locals, we had tourists, we had wanderers and drifters and sailors, and of course, we had local cops. That's if you have some familiarity with Mexico's traditions. My way of getting out of the ticket that I was invariably going to get as I drove down the road was, how about you come by the bar for a free drink? So that worked out really well too.
In my previous life, probably the, I don't know, second chapter or whatever, I was married to a half Puerto Rican, half Mexican. And so I spent half the time in Puerto Rico and half the time in Mexico. So I done my share in Mexico of all those little places like that.
And south of the border is so lovely. I have to say, it's there are a lot of legends and a lot of myths, but once you get down there in the sun, the local people are so warm and embrace you. I have to say that our neighbors, our friends, the people that worked for us, they became family, man. They're still family now.
Yeah, people that don't know or have never experienced it, they just hear bad things, right? And they say, "Can you really get your tooth pulled for $5?" Yes, you can, but I wouldn't recommend that. Okay, don't do that.
You can, but whether you should is a whole nother story.
Yeah, you can go rob a bank downtown, but don't do that either. All right, so there's a lot of things you gotta tell people about. But so then, so did you discover we call it coastal Americana / trop rock music? Did you discover that before you decided to go on this adventure, or did that become part of it?
Well, for me, I hate to confess this, but I'm going to blame the whole damn thing on. Oh, sorry, I've got this thing. I've got this thing up here that. To tell me to watch my language because I get a little passionate sometimes. So my wife put that up there just to remind me. So forgive me. Can you bleep me out?
No, it's too late. Everything's live.
So it really was listening to Jimmy and Kenny and everybody down the road, and it just became this spirit that you get from the storytelling. Yeah. And so we started traveling with the islands and the coasts and out to Hawaii. And the thing was, we just fell in love with that little strip in Mexico on the Caribbean side. Yeah. And we'd go down there and we'd sit on the beach and we'd have a margarita and we'd say, "Oh, we should live here." Yeah. Now everybody does that, right? Sure. But we took ourselves serious and make this real quick. We started looking around saying, okay, what could we do? Because we're not ready to retire. We could get a little bed and breakfast, right? Yeah. So we looked at hotel after hotel on every visit, and they were all $1 gazillion. We couldn't afford that. So it was a nice little dream, but we figured it'll never come true. Yeah. Well, we were down there one trip, and we were going to go diving. And the day before, we were scooting around the island of Cozumel on motos. And dirt road, beautiful scenes of the ocean all around us. And a taxi cab goes by. And you have to understand, taxi drivers in Mexico, they don't have to have a license. That's not required. What they have to have is a full-blown death wish. So this guy goes blowing past me, and I tip over, and I slide, for who knows how long. Seemed like about a couple hours. Yeah. And sandpapered everything off the side of my body. So I'm bandaged up like a mummy for the rest of the trip. No diving, no water, no nothing. Yeah. So I'm feeling sorry for myself. And like, what do you do when you feel sorry for yourself? You go up to the bar and you sit there and you order another margarita. And I'm talking with another guy there, an American. And what's your story? Why are you so bandaged up? Told him the whole thing. We were down here looking for a hotel. Guy looks at me and says, "I'm down here to put my hotel up for sale. It's not much. It's kind of funky. But if you'd like to take a look at it, that afternoon we had bought a hotel in Mexico.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
It's just kismet, man. You run into people, and there you are.
You know, I love that. I mean, it's the whole twist of fate things. You know, if this didn't happen or that happened, I write about it from time to time. There's an old movie called Sliding Doors, I think is the name of it, and Gwyneth Paltrow plays in it. And it was the most unique movie I've ever seen, where there's two movies running at the same time, 5 minutes apart. All right, and so she leaves her hotel or leaves her apartment. One version, she comes back and catches her boyfriend in bed with somebody else, right? And that takes her off in a different direction. The other one, she didn't miss the bus going to work, and she continues on, right? And it's such an interesting, it's so how life really is, you know? I mean, the little twist of fate of things that happen like that, you know, it's crazy.
And it's being ready for those moments. I mean, I know that's something we both write about, you know, and,
sure.
And you know, those little moments, you have to be ready and take a stop. If you just blow past them, whatever you missed, man, you just stop and say, isn't this amazing? And it's unbelievable what comes out of those moments. So, and that's how I ended up running a bar in Mexico.
Well, then, so how long did you guys do that?
We were down there over 10 years.
Nice.
As I say, we remodeled the bar in the middle of the biggest hurricane in history. Wilma came blowing through while we were down there, and remodeled the hotel, then built the bar, and then we just cruised for the next 10 years. It was an amazing life. We would joke because we would have our Sherry and I would have our morning business meeting floating in the Caribbean.
Oh,
and
nice.
So then we'd go back and get to work. But along the way, you know, things always change.
They do.
Sherry's mom went into Alzheimer's. Everybody knows somebody that's suffering from that. And
we're dealing with that now.
We needed to come home, and I had a big old honking heart attack down in Mexico.
Yeah.
And so we thought it might be time to come and be near family. But I have to tell you, we get back as often as we can. It's hard to resist that pull of that water and that sand.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, that's a chapter of your life, right? And again, you know, I won't talk about myself, but I mean, I really truly believe that you know, your life is in 5-year increments, and that's kind of how I
like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of how when I started writing, that's how I looked at it, because it's very easy to explain. 5 years ago, your life was different. 10 years ago, your life was certainly different. So that stands to reason that 5 years from now, it's going to be different, and so on and so on. So when everybody is afraid to make changes, all you got to do is go back and look and see what has already happened in 5-year increments. That's kind of how I look at everything.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. And that's why the Margarita Road became part of the theme of the book and the title of the book. Yeah. You know, I liked the image of you're always traveling down the road. It's not like you get to one spot and stop and, okay, this is going to be it forever. Yeah. You know, the Margarita Road takes you from this beach to that island to back to that city. It's the adventure of knowing that you're not anchored down in one place for the rest of your life if you want to make that move.
Sure. Yeah. And so you came back, and then you decided to write the book. You know, it's like I've got all these stories in my head, and probably, you know, I'm not trying to speak for you, but I mean, there's a point to where things do start changing around you, and you're like, you know, I want to get this down before I start to forget things, or and it's still fresh in my head, and then when you dig into that archive in your head, all this stuff just floods out.
It does. It comes pouring out. And the other thing for me too, of course, was one of my pet ideas. We go out there to the edge of civilization, right? We go and we look for that island and that beach and that water where it's not too crowded. It's not all roped in, and they don't have a gigantic, you know, steel and chrome hotel yet. Mm-hmm. And we love it. It's ours. But that never stays the same. It always changes. And so when I saw the coast where Sherry and I lived for so long starting to be discovered, you know, by the traffic and the travel business, I thought it'd be nice to get this down and sort of have that memory on paper for other people to see. And the point I was trying to make is there's always a deserted island out there. There's always a beach that no one has discovered yet. You just have to push yourself to go and find it. So that was my idea. So I started writing, and first it was one story and then the next, and all, I'd always written little scraps of paper.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden it looked like a book, and I decided, what the heck? Why not?
Yeah.
And as I said, I changed a few things around to avoid the lawyer stuff. But,
Well, Jimmy Buffett, go ahead.
I got to ask you, you're about halfway through. You got a favorite so far? A character you like, or something that speaks to you?
Well, I call it the Adventures of Poppy, but I like to the whole chapter 4 of Marty Finds Purpose in Life is probably my favorite chapter.
I love Marty, and that's based on a friend of mine down in Mexico.
Yeah.
And he really was he was a remittance man. He was living off the family's money and having a good time, but he decided he was going to be not the savior, but the protector,
right,
the guardian of working girls. That's a good way to put it.
Yes.
And he would
my dad would say ladies of the evening.
Yes, exactly. And he would sort of get in a relationship and make sure that girl was taken care of financially and protected. Mm-hmm. And he would move along like that. And of course he would invariably, every time, he would fall desperately in love. Yeah. And I used to tell him, and I'll call him Marty, not his real name. I said, you can give him your heart or you can give him your wallet, but stop giving them both.
That's true.
But he's I won't spoil the ending, but he was somebody that I thoroughly enjoyed listening to his life and watching it unfold down there.
Yeah, I have a friend that would just get married. He'd meet a girl, and then he's ready to get married in like 4 weeks or so. And of course it would end horribly every time. And you can't just be daddy to all the kids and all this stuff. So, and finally I told him, I said, I was single for about 9 years, and you really need to be the transitional guy. Okay, because I promise you, all these girls that you're meeting, they're moving on to something else. And if you'll just wrap your mind around being the transitional guy, it's a beautiful thing. But I'm trying to save him from himself.
Yeah, it's like Marty says in the book, who's going to love these girls? I am. So that's that story.
Yeah.
And every story has a true point in it, and a true character. I think my favorite is the young guy who gets in over his head with dealing a little smoke on the side, and the police take control of his life. There's some sad stories in the book too. So it's up and down.
Well, it is, but it's a journey of life, and I think it's chapter 4. I think about Marty that was my favorite so far. I like it all. I like what you got going on. I like how the trop rock music. We talked a little bit by phone. How writing. You can really relate to a lot of these songwriters because they're trying to, in a shorter amount of time, give you that vision of what they're trying to do, and it just intertwines with the writing, and it's helped me so much over the years to be able to understand what they're trying to do. And then behind the scenes, I have a lot of people send me music and say, "What do you think of this?" And I've always been one to. I'm that guy. Don't ask me if you don't want me to tell you, right? And I mean, it's caused me a tremendous amount. It's caused me a tremendous amount of success and just as much headaches along the way. But I've also found that when it comes to these artists, they really want that honest feedback. And if it doesn't sound right, or if it doesn't, if it's not working, they want to hear that. Otherwise, just people just won't play their music. So I want them to be successful. So, and I value that they value my opinion.
Well, and that's what makes a professional. It's whether it's songwriting or book writing. Mm-hmm. I had a phrase that I used when I would ask people to take a look at the early copies of the book. I'd say, be brutally honest. Yeah. Because it's not going to do any good for you to go, "Oh, I love it," if you don't mean it. tell me where the holes are so I can make it better.
Yeah.
And as I said, owning the bar down in Playa del Carmen, we had a lot of young guys, singer-songwriters, come through. They were living the life, drifting up and down the beaches.
Sure.
And I'd see those guys work at their craft all day long and then get into the bar and make it look easy at night. And we're all storytellers, and a good storyteller gets my admiration every time, whether it's on the guitar or on the computer.
Yeah. Man, I'll tell you, I could talk to you for hours about this book.
We will. Off mic, we'll continue our conversations.
we got to get you to the tropics of Tennessee. You know, my whole goal was to have you talking like you're from the South by the end of the video. By the end of the interview, you know, because I talk to somebody occasionally and they're like, you really are from Tennessee, aren't you? You know, so but anyway, tell everybody where they can find the book, and first of all, before we let you get going here, congratulations on all this accolades you're getting for it. And man, tell us a little bit about that right quick, and then how people can get the book.
Yeah, I mean, the book's been really well received, and that's very gratifying. But I think the real secret of it is that it touches a core for people. I'm getting a lot of love from the literary crowd up in New York, but I'm also getting a ton of love from parrot heads, down on the beach. And I think it's just because, well, like you and I have talked about, it's that dream, and that's universal. It doesn't matter what your job is or how much money you're making. It touches people. So the fact that people are liking the book, or in some cases loving the book, I am thrilled. Yeah. And we'll see where it goes. There's another one in the works, and we'll keep going from here.
Well, every parrot head needs one. Everybody needs one, and of course, we have selected books that we have on the Tiki Bar Publishing page on Tiki Man Radio. So you can go over there to tikimanradio.com and click on the Tiki Bar Publishing. Go down to where you see Driftwood, and there's a little story there I put in there about it. And you can click on the picture of the book, and it'll take you right where you can buy it, too. So, and, of course, where else can people find it?
Yeah, and, well, you can go to my website. It's Anthony Lee Head. Mm-hmm. Everybody calls me Tony. The only person who ever called me Anthony was my dear mother, and that was only when I'd screwed up really bad. But it's formal for the book, Anthony Lee, Lee Head, Head. And once you get there, there's a gadget you can click, says where to buy, and you can get it. There's a paperback and there's an ebook. You can go to Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all the regular cast of characters, and you can also get it in bookstores. They'll order it for you. Suzanne down in Key West at Key West Island Books keeps it on the shelves. Thank you, Suzanne. Mm-hmm. And people out here on the West Coast, Book Passage Books always keeps a couple on hand. And so you can track it down. And I'm so happy to say, you can even buy it down in Mexico at Alma Libre Books down where it was actually written. So just click on that. You'll find a way to get it. And if you can't, send me an email and I'll bring it to your house. No problem.
Well, buddy, as they say down the Margarita Road, I hope I get to see you down the road. And, if you guys are ever coming this way, and who knows, I might come out to California, but we got to hook up at some point in time or another and share some stories.
Absolutely. You get out to the left coast and we'll have a time, but we'll keep this conversation going.
There you go, buddy. Man, I love you like a brother, man. Thank you so much for being on Tiki Man Radio.
Thanks to everybody at the Chocolate Bar. You guys are great. Keep it going.
There you go, man. Mr. Tony Head, Anthony Lee, as his mama would call him. Anthony Lee, have you cleaned up your room yet? Yes, Mom, I have.
Man, bring back memories. Don't do that.
So anyway, all right, there we go. Driven. Let me get it for the camera there. There we go. Thank you so much, brother. We're going to let you fly and make room for the Beach Buddha boys. All right, enjoy some of that Beach Buddha coffee you're drinking out in California too.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna send you. Send me your address. I'm gonna send you one of these mugs. Okay.
You got it. Done deal.
Thanks, brother.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
See you, brother.